Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Sunday Paper hosted by Maria's brother. I'm Tim Shriver. I've been thrilled to be able to join so many of you in recent weeks as we explore the lessons that matter most taught by the people who are the best teachers in the world, I dare say, American teachers. I think of this as lessons, almost an answer to the question, how do I do that? Social and emotional learning masterpieces, answering the question, how do I do that with America's teachers as the people helping us learn how? This week, I'm joined by someone who is going to be a little bit of a surprise guest. We're not going to tell you everything about her. Join me now. We're going to call her just by her first name because part of the exercise we're going to do together today, I hope she comes on now. Let's see if perfect. Hi, Christie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Welcome to the Sunday Paper in combination with Unite and our experience of the lessons that matter most, taught by the people who know the most. And we're thrilled to have you. I'm thrilled to have you joining me as my teacher today. And we're not revealing more details about your background because part of what you are going to help me learn is how to explore and be curious about the culture and the experience of someone different from myself. How am I doing so far in recapping our earlier conversation?
Great. Nailed it.
Good. Great. Okay. So tell us a little bit about without telling us too many details, tell us a little bit about the lesson that you teach and the students you teach it to.
Sure. Well, I am a 7th grade world geography teacher. Obviously, I can't reveal where I'm at quite yet. But one thing for me is that I've realized that my students, all 12, 13, 14 years old, have this natural curiosity about the outside of our four walls in our classroom. And so when I started teaching in world geography, a coworker of mine had introduced me to something called a mystery Skype. And so with it starting out of just like me kind of assessing their geography skills, it turned into something a lot bigger than that. And so what I do is I teach my students some easy geography questions. So when we call another classroom somewhere around in the world, just some easy geography questions to sort of guess where they're at. But then eventually it opens up and they go really truly off script, and this natural curiosity that these students have takes over, and they ask so many questions about their culture, just so many different things, because a lot of the students may never leave our community. And so it's one way for them to just really be genuinely interested in people from around the world.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So the premise here is that a lot of us are in a community where we don't necessarily know people who are different from us. And I think that's a pretty common experience right now. We talk about a divided country, a polarized country, polarized families even. A lot of us live in the word that everybody uses is bubbles, right? I'm in a bubble. I see what I want to see. I talk to people who are like me. I listen to music that other people like me listen to. I don't know people outside my bubble. So I'm going to ask you then to teach me how to explore understanding someone who's outside my bubble on this. And we might even note that on this eve of the 4th of July, a lot of people are preparing. It might be good to think about how other people outside your bubble might be thinking about this holiday in ways that are different from you. But we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let you take over.
Okay, sure. So what I often do right toward the beginning of the year is I will just share questions with my students of trying to find them just regionally. So we'll always start global. I always tell them our goal as teachers are to get our students to be global thinkers, right? So we'll say, think globally, and use the geography skills that you've already learned the first couple weeks. So we'll say, are you north of the equator? And then the other class.
So I get to ask you this now, right?
Yes, you can ask me any questions geography related, and I will do my best to narrow that down.
It has to be geography related. Okay.
Well,
so
it doesn't have to be, but it's the easiest way to do it.
We'll start there. Do you live near one of the coasts in the United States on the ocean?
No.
Okay. Do you live near the Great Lakes? Do you live on one of the Great Lakes in the United States?
No, I do not border a Great Lake.
Do you live east of the Mississippi River?
I do not live east of the Mississippi River.
Okay. Do you live within 500 miles of the Mexico border?
I do not live within 500 miles of the Mexican border.
Do you live within 500 miles of the Canadian border?
I do live within 500 miles of the Canadian border.
Okay, so I think you're west of the Mississippi, somewhat near the Canadian border. So do you live, what else could I ask? Do you live, east of the Rocky Mountains?
I do live east of the Rocky Mountains, yes.
Okay, so you're between the Rocky Mountains and the Mississippi River near the Canadian border. I think I'm getting pretty close.
Yeah, right? Really close.
Do you live in, can I name states?
So you can name states. So I always say to my students, try to ask the questions that wipe out the most locations as possible. So if they start asking states right away, then we're there forever. And we want to get to the good stuff at the end where we can ask.
Well, how about like Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota? Are you in one of those states, or Minnesota?
So yes, I am in one of those states.
Okay. Is your state on the Canadian border?
It is on the Canadian border.
Okay, I'm going to take a guess that it's either Montana or North Dakota.
It is one of those two.
Do you live in North Dakota?
I do. I live in North Dakota.
Okay. Thank you. Well, at least I feel like I cleared the first hurdle.
Yeah. And that's the logistic part. We get that out, and then now the magic happens once we reveal where the students are and where we are.
Gotcha. So now I get to ask you questions about what it's like where you live, right?
Yep. So now at this point in the game is where I let my students just go off script. And if they're curious about anything, if they've seen anything in the back of the classroom, if they've seen a flag, if they've heard an accent, then they can go in and they can ask really any questions that they want to ask these other students. Gotcha.
So in North Dakota, do you eat a lot of meat in North Dakota?
Okay, of course we eat a lot of meat in North Dakota.
Okay, well, I was guessing that. And do you, I guess, like, do most people drive like pickup trucks and long, like hauling trucks? Not a lot of small cars, right?
Well, actually, so there's one of the stereotypes, right, of us having to drive the big trucks and everything like that. No, we're obviously an agriculture community, but there's a lot of urban areas here too. So yeah, a lot of SUVs, a lot of smaller cars. However, you have to have nice tires on your cars, and that's
I would never have guessed that.
And that's one of the things that the students that we contacted, they're not from a state where it has snow. They'll always say, bring the camera and point it outside because we want to see what snow looks like, or they'll tease us when they find out that we have 4 feet of snow and we're still in school.
Right. So I don't know how to ask this. Do in your community, do people come from big families?
It just depends. I mean, obviously the historical, family life in North Dakota would be big families because of the agriculture. But now I wouldn't say that necessarily, because there's a lot of, there's a lot of diversity outside of our little community here also, because we're a big oil state. We're, still obviously an agriculture state, but no, I wouldn't say that we have lots and lots of big families. So.
And do you do, like, for the 4th of July, do people in your community, do they have like cookouts and barbecues and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do. Of course. That's, and it's funny. I said, doesn't everybody have cookouts, or doesn't everybody go to the lake and shoot off the fireworks? And, got me thinking that no, not probably everywhere around in the country does that. But as adults, we kind of have our little idea of what it's supposed to be like and what your friends and your family do, and we kind of lose that curiosity that students have. And so it's really important to keep that spark in them going through adulthood.
Yeah. So I have a question, probably 6th graders wouldn't ask, but do people talk a lot about politics in North Dakota when you're like hanging out, or, you know, at the diner or at a movie theater or at a social setting? Is politics a big topic?
Yeah, I would say politics is definitely a big topic here. You know, and it's very divided here, just like it is in the rest of the country. You know, big thing that I try to give to my students is just the respect part about it. And everybody's entitled to their opinions, and everybody's entitled to believe what they think is right.
Mm-hmm.
But just have that respect for them, and and give your opinion, but don't talk poorly about the people that don't have the same opinion or the same values that you have.
Yeah. And so if I were to ask you a question, so let me just try this. I guess most people in your state are Republicans. At least that's the number. That's what I read when I read the newspaper or something, right?
Right. Yes.
And do most of those people think that Democrats are crazy?
You know, like, okay, so anywhere, just like probably the rest of the country, if you are a very, very strong, opinionated political person, no matter which side you're on, you're going to think the other side is crazy. Yes.
So that's something you would hear. Okay,
yeah.
One last question about the 4th of July. Well, let me say, where I am, some people don't want to celebrate the 4th of July, and some people do. Is that true where you are? Is that the same, or is that different?
I guess I would say that most people here do want to celebrate the 4th of July. We have a lot of very patriotic, you know, citizens that live here. And of course, there's a lot of people that aren't able to celebrate the 4th of July, or maybe do it just in the privacy of their own home.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say the majority of people here look for a place to go and shoot off the fireworks, and whether or not it's because of the actual true meaning of 4th of July or not, you know, it could be just potentially wanting to go shoot off some fireworks too.
So are people allowed to shoot off their own fireworks? Because some places where I live, like, you're not allowed to. It's against the law.
Right. So, I mean, in the cities, yeah, you're not allowed to. So everybody kind of finds a place outside of town, and, you know, there's a couple people that will shoot them off in the cities too.
And what's the biggest kind of job? You know, you mentioned agriculture. Are there other big jobs or big employers?
Sure. Well, definitely, you know, agriculture, oil. We have Microsoft here, so computer areas, and then teaching. And teaching is huge here. You know, I should know the number of it, but that is a big part of our state, and that's why I'm so proud to get to be one of, you know, the educators in North Dakota.
One of the educators. We can reveal it now that you're the teacher of the year last year in the great state of North Dakota. So congratulations, Kristi. It's fantastic to be able to have you, with all the things going on in your life and all the work you do, to make your students learn, help your students learn, guide them in their learning, to actually be able to share the time with us is just fantastic. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And thank you for doing this and elevating teaching in a time where, you know, teachers really need this, and just wanting to, you know, get everybody out there to understand that the work we do is really important, and it's really important to us. So
it's beautiful. And I mean, no better time to celebrate our teachers. I mean, I think we could all agree, whatever we think about the 4th of July, no matter what position you have about it, we can all agree that our teachers are worth celebrating this year as a way of thanking you for the way in which you've held our country together. I just want to before I let you go, I want to say, I can just imagine the excitement of your 6th graders when they get to visit a classroom in Paris, France, or in Nairobi, Kenya, or in Lima, Peru, or for that matter, in Washington, D.C., or Miami, Florida, or, you know, all different kinds of places. What a great experience. And what a great lesson for all of us, that if we could approach each other with the curiosity that says, I don't know you. I don't know how you live. I don't know where you live. I don't know what your patterns and your food, your religion, your politics, your music, your lifestyle. I don't know anything about all that. I want to learn more. One of my favorite teachers, Keith Matheny, always teach our kids to be curious, not furious. A lot of people are angry and a lot of people are justified. We all know that in their anger. But to learn the skills of trying to be open and curious about one another, what a gift you're giving to your kids. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back again next week with another edition of How Do I Do That? The lessons that matter most from the teachers who are the best. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.